What is up, YouTube? Check this out. I'm on this Meek Mill thing, man. I went to Meek Mill's and Diddy's Freakoff, and I seen the devil himself. Hey, y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, man. Let me see what the devil himself look like. Hey, let's check this bad boy out, man. Let's get right into it. Here we go. Here we go.
Some stories get ignored because they're too wild.
Wow.
Others, because they're too true. This one is both. It's not about haunted houses or monsters in the dark. It's about something worse, something real. A party in Vegas, celebrities, masks, laughter. But behind it all, a presence, watching, choosing. You've heard the whispers about freak-offs, about Diddy and his private rituals. But you never hear from the people who made it out. Most don't. I did. And I ain't been the same since. This is the story of how I got invited to Meek Mill and Diddy's Freakoff. And what I saw underneath the gold and lights. What I saw when she arrived. I wasn't supposed to be there. That's the part I keep thinking about. I wasn't famous. I didn't know anyone in the industry. I was just an Amazon driver with a secondhand car and a half-paid phone bill, working night shifts in Van Nuys to keep my head above water. I didn't ask for much. I didn't have much. But when Bree and Nessa asked me to ride with them to Vegas for spring break, I said yes. Not because I thought they liked me. I knew what it was. They needed a ride. They needed someone solid, quiet, who wouldn't ask too many questions. I fit the bill. Still. When Bree leaned over in the break room that night and said, "We want you to come." Just us three. Something in me flickered, like I mattered. They were the kind of girls people noticed. Loud in all the right ways, confident, pretty, the kind that made rooms shift when they walked in. And me? I was always the guy behind the guy, the driver, the lookout, the afterthought. But for once, I wasn't invisible. We left Van Nuys just before sunset. Nessa rolled joints in the back seat. Bree played old school R&B on my busted speakers, pretending it was her aux. I mostly drove in silence, windows cracked, trying to soak in what this moment meant, even if it was temporary. They kept hyping up some spot in Vegas, said it was invite only, said it was where Meek Mill threw a party years ago that people still whispered about, said Diddy might be there. I didn't believe them. Until we pulled up to the Parisian Palace. The Parisian Palace didn't look real. It looked like a movie set. Gold gates, tall white statues, a driveway that wound through perfectly trimmed hedges. The fountain wasn't even on, but the water inside it was still, too still, like glass. Security was waiting, no words, just outstretched hands and blank stares. They took our phones, dropped them in black velvet pouches, and sealed them shut with wax. Then they handed us paper claim tickets, like we were checking in coats. The moment I stepped past the gates, I felt it. Like I'd walked out of the world I knew, and into something else. The house itself glowed, but not from lights. More like it was reflecting something. A soft red hue that seemed to come from nowhere. The windows were tinted so dark they looked like obsidian. The air smelled like citrus and ash. Inside, the floors were marble, cold, slick. Velvet curtains lined the walls like theater drapes. There was music playing, but it wasn't really music, just low pulses of bass, barely audible, like a heartbeat coming from deep inside the walls. Everyone inside was beautiful, tall, silent, moving like they were underwater. The women wore sheer gowns or nothing at all. The men wore suits without ties, shirts halfway unbuttoned, sunglasses on indoors. It wasn't a party, it was a mood. I turned to say something to Bree and Nessa, but they were already gone. Disappeared into the crowd like smoke. 1 second they were
My bad. Some people leaving for the day. Here we go.
women feeding him fruit with their fingers. He looked up at me for a second, but didn't react. Just went back to chewing, slowly. Then I saw French Montana, standing by the glass wall, drink in hand, laughing at something no one else was laughing at. And in the center of it all, like gravity itself bent toward him, Diddy, lounging on a throne-like chair, surrounded by people who weren't talking, weren't moving, just watching him, like disciples. I didn't belong here. I felt it in my skin. But it was too late. The doors behind me had already closed. I walked deeper into the mansion, trying to act like I belonged, but everything felt wrong, like the air itself was watching me. There were no DJs, no hosts, no one dancing, just clusters of people standing around sipping clear drinks from stemless glasses, their eyes glazed, their movements slow, rehearsed. It didn't feel like a party. It felt like a stage. A woman walked past me in heels made of glass, her dress so thin it barely counted as fabric. She didn't look at me, didn't smile, just whispered something to herself. Her voice
Dressed so thin it barely counted as fabric. Wow.
voice didn't match her lips. That's when I heard it. Whispers, coming from everywhere and nowhere. Faint, but clear, like they were leaking through the walls or echoing from inside my own head. I caught a glimpse of myself in a mirrored pillar. My eyes looked off, like they weren't syncing with my face. A tray of drinks floated by on a waiter's hand. I grabbed one out of instinct, cold, odorless. I raised it to my lips, but didn't sip. Everyone else was drinking like their lives depended on it. Not joyfully, ritualistically, like it was part of their role. And then, suddenly, applause. Sharp, sudden, almost choreographed. The room shifted as a spotlight hit the grand staircase. Diddy stood at the top, bare chest, silk pants, gold chains glowing against his skin. His face wasn't smiling, but it radiated something. Command, confidence, like a preacher stepping to the pulpit. He held up his hands. "This ain't no party," he said. "This is elevation." The room erupted in another round of applause, louder this time, but no one looked excited. It was like they were being told to clap. Then the music changed, if you could call it music. The low bass slowed to a crawl, deepening into something more like a groan. The lights dimmed and the red hue thickened. That's when I noticed someone crying, a man in a suit, crouched in a corner, silent tears running down his face. No one paid him any attention. It was like he wasn't even there. I backed away, disoriented. Every hallway looked the same. Every face wore that same frozen smile. I needed to breathe, needed space, needed to find Bree and Nessa. But my limbs were heavy and my thoughts started to warp. I stumbled into a hallway lined with mirrors and ducked into the first door I saw. A bathroom, marble everything, no windows, no sound, just me and my reflection. And that's when I realized the mirror wasn't reflecting me anymore. I locked the bathroom door behind me and leaned over the sink, trying to steady my breath. My pulse was racing. My hands were damp. My head felt like it was filled with smoke. I splashed cold water on my face, gripped the sides of the sink, and forced myself to look up. But the person in the mirror wasn't me. Not right away. For a second, just a second, my reflection lagged behind, like a live stream with a glitch. I blinked. It blinked late. I tilted my head. It twitched too far. I wiped the mirror with a towel, heart pounding, trying to convince myself it was just the lighting, just the drinks, just the stress. But it wasn't. There was something off in its eyes. A delay, a smirk I didn't make. And then it mouthed something. "Say yes." I stumbled back. "No," I whispered out loud, even though no sound had come from its mouth. Just the motion, just the command. The lights flickered, quick, like a warning. That's when I noticed the walls breathing. Not literally, not fully. But the wallpaper pulsed, almost imperceptibly, like lungs under skin, like the whole room was alive, holding me there. I tried to open the door. It didn't budge. 3 soft knocks tapped from the other side, evenly spaced. 1, 2, 3. Hello? I called. No answer. I pressed my ear to the door. Nothing. Then, a voice. Whispered. Close. He sees you now. I backed away again, bumping into the sink hard in my throat. The reflection was back. It looked normal again. Me. Same face, same eyes. But it was smiling now. And I wasn't. The handle turned. Slowly. I froze. I should have moved. Should have run. But I didn't. The door creaked open. And standing there, grinning like he'd been waiting for me all night, was Meek Mill. He was dressed sharp. Black designer tee. Iced out chain. Diamond-studded watch ticking like it was counting down. But it wasn't the outfit that threw me off. It was his eyes. They weren't the wild, performance-ready eyes you see on Instagram or in a music video. These were calm, too calm, focused, like he already knew what was about to happen. "There you are," Meek said, like we'd been playing hide and seek. "Come see the real party." He didn't wait for me to answer, just turned and started walking. His shoes didn't make a sound on the marble. And something in me, something buried under fear and curiosity, followed. We moved through a hallway I swore wasn't there before. The crowd and noise faded behind us like a dream slipping away after you wake up. The air got heavier, warmer. The music vanished, replaced by silence thick enough to feel. The hallway narrowed. The lighting shifted, redder, deeper, almost womb-like. I could hear my own footsteps now, echoing behind his. There were mirrors on either side of the corridor, but they didn't show us. Just darkness. Pitch black, like they were reflecting another dimension entirely. "I saw you when you came in," Meek said without looking back. "She did too." "Who?" I asked, my voice catching in my throat. He stopped in front of a black curtain hanging over a doorway I hadn't noticed, turned to me, smiled. "You'll see." He pulled it aside, and behind it wasn't a door. It was a shifting threshold, a red glow swirling in midair, like heat waves painted on velvet. Like a portal you could only walk through if you stopped thinking and just trusted. I should have turned around. I should have run. But I didn't. Meek stepped through, and I followed. Inside was a circular chamber, soaked in red. The air smelled like incense and iron. Drapes hung from the ceiling like arteries. Candles flickered low on marble pedestals, but there were no flames, just glowing wicks, pulsing like heartbeats. In the center of the room sat a throne made of black glass, and on it was Diddy, bare-chested, shirt open, gold chains draped over his skin like offerings. His eyes lit up when he saw me, but not with joy, with certainty. "He brought you," Diddy said to no one in particular. "I knew you'd come." He leaned forward. "You want in?" And for a moment, I couldn't tell if he was talking to me or the thing inside me. This room wasn't part of the house. It wasn't part of this world. The walls were soft, curved inward like they were breathing. Crimson velvet clung to every surface, stitched with symbols that pulsed when I blinked. I could feel the room watching me, waiting. Diddy sat on a black glass throne, unmoving. Meek stood beside him, head bowed like a man who'd seen something too holy or too cursed to ever speak of again. Then Diddy raised his hand, slowly, silently, and she stepped forward. She didn't speak. She didn't have to. I recognized her, not by voice or name, but by something deeper. A face I'd seen years ago in videos and whispers. A face tied to rumors people laughed off. A woman who used to belong to herself. Now she was someone else's. Her skin glowed like polished gold. Her robe was open, sheer, barely draped over her body like it had been placed by unseen hands. Her eyes were vacant, ancient. She moved like she weighed nothing, and she was staring straight at me. "She gave herself," Diddy said, rising. "She was the key. But you..." He stepped closer, voice lower now. "You're the door." Her mouth opened, and the red mist came, thick, alive. It didn't float. It crawled across the floor like it had purpose, like it already knew who I was. like it had been waiting inside the walls of my chest. I backed away, throat dry. "What is this?" "This isn't lust," Meek murmured. "This is legacy." "She doesn't want to possess you," Diddy said, circling behind me now. "She wants to reveal you." The candles blew out. The room dimmed. But she still glowed. She rose from the ground just inches, but enough. Her jaw unhinged, wider than human. Eyes rolled back. The mist curled around my waist, and something moved inside me, like something had just woken up. "She doesn't need your words," Diddy whispered. "She needs your surrender." The mirrors above flashed. Each showed me, bending the knee, smiling up at the throne, becoming. "She's been sleeping in your blood," Meek said. "Now she wants to wear your skin." She floated closer, and every cell in my body leaned toward her, until one voice, quiet, desperate, buried under all the others, screamed, "Run!" I couldn't move. The mist coiled tighter around my legs, rising to my ribs. It wasn't smoke, it had weight, like it was pouring through me, not around me. The woman floated just feet away now, arms stretched, glowing faintly from within, but her body was still. It was him who moved. Diddy stepped forward like a man in trance, lips parted, eyes half-lidded. He stared directly at me, but I could tell he wasn't there anymore. "She's inside you now," he said softly. "She just needed the door open." The room was silent except for the low hum of the candles and my own shallow breathing. "She don't speak to everyone," he continued, slowly circling me. "Only the marked." His voice had changed, lower, slower, like it had to crawl up from somewhere deeper than his throat. "You've been carrying her since you were born," he whispered. "She just needed someone to call her forward." I turned, looking for Meek, hoping for something. Resistance, hesitation. But he was on his knees now, arms spread wide, trembling. His lips were moving silently, like he was reciting scripture in reverse. "She's older than shame," Diddy went on. "Older than fire. She rode with kings and slept beneath altars. And now," he leaned in, "she wants you." The mirrors above the throne began to twist, warping like melted glass. My reflection danced across them, laughing, pleading, breaking. And the woman, her body still weightless, still midair, opened her mouth once more. No sound came out, but Diddy answered anyway. "She says you'll be rewarded. With silence, with safety, with power." My fingers twitched, my knees buckled. I could feel her pressing behind my eyes, not taking me over, but opening me up, pulling at something already there, something sleeping and foul. "You say yes," Diddy whispered, "and she'll never leave you lonely again." The room grew darker, and I swear I felt hands, dozens, pressing into my back, into my chest, into the bones of my face. Not physical, worse, intimate, familiar. "She's in," Diddy said. "She just needs your consent." Something in my throat tightened. My head tilted forward. And deep in my gut, beneath every cracked thought and broken memory, a spark flared. Run. The air shifted. One moment it was ritual. The next, it was depravity. As soon as Diddy whispered, "Say yes," her body jerked like a puppet. The red mist thickened, wrapping around Diddy and Meek like smoke born from sin. And then it began. Not worship, not ceremony, debauchery. Their bodies writhed against her like animals in heat. No soul behind their eyes, no shame, just hunger. Meek collapsed to his knees. Diddy shed his silk and crawled across the floor, possessed by whatever was now filling that room. I didn't run, I just walked, like a man leaving his own funeral. The curtain parted for me. The hallway beyond was silent. And standing at the far end was someone I never expected. Nicki Minaj. No performance, no camera. Just fear etched into her face. Like she'd seen it too, and somehow survived. She didn't speak. She didn't move. But her eyes said everything. You weren't supposed to leave. I kept walking, found a side door, kicked it open. Cold air hit me like a warning. I drove through the night until the sky turned gray. But even on that empty highway, I wasn't alone. Something was in the back seat. Not a person, not a voice, just breathing. I didn't sleep for 2 days. The images wouldn't stop. Her floating, that throne, that red mist curling around my feet. Vegas carried on. Nobody cared. Nobody even noticed. Back at work, I tried pretending it hadn't happened until I saw them. Bree, Nessa, same uniforms, same smiles, but their eyes, too black, too wide, too silent. They didn't speak, just watched me pass, like puppets on pause. I quit that same day, moved to a motel off the interstate, covered the mirrors, slept with the lights on. And then, late one night, I found a video, a horror channel, talking about secret parties, black eyes, rituals beneath mansions. And I knew I wasn't crazy, I was marked. So now I'm telling my story on this burner phone, on this channel no one watches. They said it was a party, but it wasn't. It was a deal, and I wasn't invited. I was offered. That spirit, it's still in there, in that throne room, in them, in me. It doesn't wear horns, it wears Dior, and everybody clapped.
It wears Dior, and everybody claps. Wow. Dude, my man tells some interesting stories, man. I just had to put that one out there because Meek Mills is actually mentioned in this story, man. I can't believe this. Poor Meek Mills, boy. You Diddy to put his fangs his fangs is all crooked up into you. You and the other guy he just mentioned. Look here, man, I'm gonna get on up out of here. Hey, y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell him Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.